Welcome everyone to Good Night and Good Game, your source for geek news for the weeks that were. I'm your host James, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host Hector.
Hello.
And our fantastic producer John.
It's me.
This week on the show, Nintendo showed off a huge Nintendo Direct, literally today.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover most of that in our news section. And then our main topic is going to be about the show Invincible. So this is something that we've been meaning to cover for a while. The new season just wrapped up. And while we're not necessarily going to go deep into spoilers about the show, we do want to talk a bit about the show itself, the impact of the show, and just some of the controversy around the show itself. But before we start, don't forget that you can head over to goodnight.gg, where as a patron of our show, you can suggest topics for us to talk about. Also, as a patron, you get access to our off-week episodes. All right, with all that out of the way, it's time to get into the Weekly Raid.
The Weekly Raid.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Weekly Raid, your roundup of this week's geek news. Before we get to the Nintendo Direct, we do have some house cleaning items that we need to go over the last couple weeks. So first off, one of the game studios that's actually owned by Embracer Studio, that's Crystal Dynamics, as of today has laid off 17 people. So according to an online tracker that I found, and I cannot believe this exists, but it does, according to an online tracker that I found, this year, and as of today is March 27th that we are recording this, 1,200 jobs have been lost in the game development sector since January.
Yeesh. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, all of that talent, I know it's not cheap or easy, but if you guys can come together and work on a project and make something, just get out from under the specter of being, inside of a publicly owned company that has no incentive except to make as much money as possible at your expense. That's all I can say. If you at all get the chance to work for an indie studio or maybe some kind of AA studio that only has backing from, public companies, but not control over your project. I don't have all the answers. It's
there is a potential solution out there that actually came up in the news this week, and that is over the last couple of weeks since our last podcast, game developers across the United States and Canada have launched the UVW-CWA, which is a big acronym. Jesus, I can't fucking talk today. That is a games industry-wide union.
Ah, fuck yeah.
So with this union having been just created in the last 2 weeks, they already had 100 developers sign up in the first week of
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone should be signing up. I mean, everyone.
Wait, what is the acronym?
It's it's the abbreviation. The abbreviation is UVW-Initialism CWA. But yeah, it's a first of its kind union between the U.S. and Canada. It is specifically based around game developers and trying to unionize them, which is something that we've been talking about for, I don't even know how long.
Since I got on the show, however long ago that was.
And so the fact of the game union hitting over the last couple of weeks and already having so many signups, that's huge. And you can say, oh, well, it's only 100. But that's also us looking at the number of 1,200 that just got laid off and saying, oh, it's just 1,200 that got laid off.
Right. Yeah.
Right. There is no, it's just when it comes to people's livelihoods, to putting food on the table, to them paying rent.
Yeah. And I can think of 1,200 people right now who might want to go join that union.
Also,
maybe I'll talk to each other.
It's just 1,200 since we last were counting.
Exactly.
Since the tracker was updated.
Since we hit refresh.
Yeah, since time has gone by, there could be more because that's how this shit works.
All right, now we've got all the serious stuff out of the way. Let's have some fun. All the rest of the news is going to be about the Nintendo Direct that literally just happened a few hours ago. We were chowing down tacos on my couch.
Oh, yeah.
Watching stuff about it. So a lot of the stuff we're going to only lightly touch on, but there's some great gems in there. Now, the one thing I want to point out before we get rolling on this is that no point during this Nintendo Direct did they ever use the term Switch 2 or directly address the fact that the Switch 2 is coming out.
Yep, this wasn't about that.
We do know that next week there will be another Nintendo Direct that will be just about the Switch 2. And the Switch 2 will come up. Now, normally when we do our news segment, we always stick to just the facts and the facts alone. There's a couple instances, I think, that while we're talking about this stuff, we might get a little bit into speculation territory. But we'll make sure to point that out because we want to make sure that we separate speculation from the actual facts. So kicking things off in the Nintendo Direct, starting strong, by the way, they announced the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake.
Yikes.
So just a couple months ago, they released the Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake, which was a huge success. And it is one that I've been wanting to play. Dragon Quest 3 is actually my favorite of the series.
Hell yeah.
But I got my start on the original Nintendo with the original Dragon Quest. And yeah, it's the same visual style as the Dragon Quest 3 game. It's going to just have, it's going to be up-res textures and brand new backgrounds and more slimes for your bucks if you're interested in Dragon Quest. That being said, it is an old school style of RPG. Not everybody's super into it. The original Dragon Quest games were first person when you got into combat.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, hopefully they've fixed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll be lots of updated changes. They even talked about there being an updated new character that's going to be in it. So that's exciting. But we're going to move right along. The next game that they showed off was something called No Sleep for Kaname Date. This is part of a series. It's kind of a puzzle investigation series that's been going on for some time. Think about in Phoenix Wright, you had to go to the murder site and look things up. This is very similar. It's just a puzzle game where you have an AI that speaks to you and is trying to guide you through these futuristic puzzles. It looked fine. It looks fun.
That seems really cool. It seems really immersive. It reminds me a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's. To be honest.
Yeah, kind of in a weird way.
Yeah.
Next up, they showed a game called Rido Remastered. So remastered, obviously, saying that this is a remake. This is an Atlas game. It is directly connected to Shin Megami Tensei / Persona, which is why when you watch the trailer, you'll see Jack Frost show up and all these Persona characters because it is a game of that universe. Just got its remake, and this is one of the few that actually had a date on it. It's going to be getting released on June 19th. I've actually never really played a Shin Megami Tensei game. I'm more of a Persona kind of guy in that Shin Megami Tensei games don't have the life sim aspect that Persona games do. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy that. I like to hang out with my friends in Shinjuku. So,
and you just want to craft a perfect month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Next up, which I know we're going to have something to talk about, was Shadow Labyrinth. So Shadow Labyrinth, if you watch the Amazon series Secret Level, which was a series of animation shorts based around certain video games, was a dark Pac-Man short that we saw.
Yeah, that took until the end of the thing to reveal it had anything at all to do with Pac-Man.
Right. And then a couple months later, at the Game Awards, they were like, here's the trailer for that actual weird Pac-Man game.
Yeah, we thought someone was just super high saying, well, what do we do with Pac-Man? I guess I'll make up some weird sci-fi shit. And then here we are looking at the pixels, watching the game happen in real time, going, that looks fun. I might play that.
Yeah, it's a Metroidvania, and you have this guy Puck, who's obviously Pac-Man that follows you around, but also he turns into a giant robot, and it's dark and it's edgy in the most 90s way possible. And if I've learned anything about myself over the last few months, it is that the fact that the dark and edgy parts of the 90s are making a comeback is kind of lighting a bonfire in my soul that I didn't know that I missed. I just watched the trailer for Devil May Cry, the anime, and it is the most 90s things ever.
So is Dante.
Yeah, they literally got Evanescence to make a new song for the new Devil May Cry show.
Couldn't possibly be more fitting.
Speaking of that, in that vein, I did not know Pac-Man was a Guyver.
Exactly.
In that game alone, he is a Guyver. That's a really obscure reference.
I think he was already a Guyver.
I think he's always been a Guyver. Look, there are 3 interpretations of Pac-Man. None of them are anything but the darkest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a new one, and we're getting a game about this.
It's new, and it's dark, and it's edgy, and it's Pac-Man, and
yep,
I'm here for it. Fuck it. So the next entry that they showed was really interesting because they showed Patapon and Patapon 2 remake
Yes.
coming out to the Switch. Now, why is this important? Why are we mentioning this other than the fact that they showed it? Well, Patapon is a Sony series.
Yes, this game debuted on either the Vita or
I think the PSP.
it might have just been the PSP. It's
Yeah.
early handheld Sony days. Beautiful little machine, by the way. Doesn't really exist anymore. But this was one of the early titles because it was, beautiful, clear art style, not too hard to run, visually awesome, and the thing about the PlayStation Portable, the PSP, was that it had pretty good speakers for a handheld at the time. And so you could get some really good rhythm stuff going on, and this game was definitely that. When I saw, the way I got this news today was my buddy Ross sent me the Steam page because it also hit Steam. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Sony put this on Steam. But now I understand why. They also dropped it on Switch. I love this move by Sony to take some of their properties that they know they're not going to do anything with and just remaster them for a console that's not actually competition for them.
Yeah.
And just let them make some of that Microsoft we're on everything money with an old game that they didn't have to do much to port.
If you had asked me 4 years ago, do you think there would be a PlayStation product on a Nintendo Switch? I'd be like, fuck no.
No, absolutely not.
Sony likes their ecosystem too much. But for better or worse, the moves that Microsoft has been making in the tearing down of the walls of
exclusivity.
Yeah, exactly. Seem to be having a very net positive effect on the entire industry as a whole.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're allowed to think, this makes sense.
Yeah.
This business move will make us money for very little effort, and all we have to do is fucking share.
Yep. All we got to do is play nice, and we
Yeah.
all make money.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Nintendo, would you like to make some money with me, a fellow Japanese company here over at Sony?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's roll.
Next up, and before I get into the next up, actually, I want to say something that while I was watching this Nintendo Direct, there was a underlying theme that nobody has talked about. A lot of this Nintendo Direct was some fucking cozy ass games.
Oh yeah, so many. There were so many farms. There were so many farms.
So many farms. So speaking of, the next game on the list was Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. Now, Story of Seasons is a ongoing franchise. It was actually made by the original creator, the creator of the original Harvest Moon, which is just a farming sim, which that game was so popular that it went on to spawn one of the most popular games of all time, in my opinion, which is Stardew Valley.
Oh, yeah. And I lost most of COVID to Stardew Valley, and I couldn't have been happier, and you would be too.
Yeah. And it's just a farming sim. You get a farm and you get to meet people in the town. You get to get married and do all the things that you can't do in real life because the economy is shit. So now you can just have some cows and hang out with some people in a town, and it looks great.
Just get up in the morning, make sure you feed the cows and the chickens, gather the eggs, milk the cows, and
Right.
maybe go to town, and do some shopping, and, maybe it's the afternoon and you do some fishing, and then the sun's getting kind of low and you go home and go to bed. And you get to just live.
You get to just live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So, next up is an interesting title. The fact that this is in the middle of the presentation, I have some feelings about. Next up, they showed a full, real fucking trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, I cannot remember the YouTuber that we were watching earlier,
Beat 'em ups.
Oh, yeah.
but we were watching a couple of YouTubers talk about this event. And one of them, who does a Nintendo-specific podcast, pointed out that the trailer for Metroid Prime 4 does not look like it's a Switch title.
That doesn't run on Switch. No.
He was like, that looks 1080, 60 frames, solid draw distance. And I'll put it in the show notes, by the way, who I'm quoting here, because he does deserve to get some eyes on him. But yeah, they showed off this Metroid Prime 4 trailer. There is no release date other than it's in 2025. You know what else releases in 2025?
Yeah.
The Switch 2.
Yeah. If they have been hiding this until just right now to create a launch title for the Switch 2, which may drop in a few months, I mean, bravo. Considering how much how the popularity of the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and whatever the fuck Microsoft is going to come up with elsewhere to try and get into the space. Switch 2 needed to hit the ground running, and it needed to be just consumer friendly and also impressive.
Yeah.
And all of those things are becoming what is obvious to me here, because the Switch 2, we understand that the online platform will carry over, meaning for the first time in Nintendo history, you don't have to like rebuy everything on a new store and shit like that. Your personal identity online with your Switch will move over to the Switch 2. Right. Consumer friendly in a way Nintendo's never been before. And now looking at this like Unreal Engine fucking Metroid Prime game with obviously what's running at 60 FPS, looking super crisp and sharp. This is very impressive for Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I know people that are working on it. I'm not even like the biggest Metroid Prime fan, to be perfectly honest.
I played the first two.
I live comfortably like in the 2D Metroid space, but I'm excited for so many people that are excited for this. And Nintendo has this thing that they do where there's always one game at the end of their console life cycles that is a dual platform game. Oftentimes it's a Zelda game.
Yeah.
So like Twilight Princess was
That's
like a
because we haven't had a
GameCube and Wii.
Metroid release in forever.
Oh, no, we haven't. We have not had a respectable Metroid release that wasn't a remake in quite some time.
Right.
The last one was like the Fusion game. I can't remember.
Oh, because
there was a 2D title.
There was a 2D title, and I don't want to disparage that one in any way.
Yeah, but there's not been a Prime entry.
But a Prime entry?
Not since the Wii.
Yeah.
Not since the Wii. We've had entire console cycles come and go since a Prime entry has been released. Next up, they showed something called Disney Villains Cursed Cafe. It's make coffee with Disney characters.
Yep, it's Disney copying another game, but throwing their characters into it. They're very good at this. They did a Stardew Valley or maybe an Animal Crossing whatever you want to call it. Last year it was popular enough, but I don't know. I said this earlier to the group, but given all of their money and all of the amazing talent at their studios, it's amazing to me that Disney has never gotten its shit together when it comes to video games. All of the things that we are lacking in video game wise with like a steady franchise that we all love are any Disney animated property, Star Wars, and Marvel. like pretty much. We're slowly starting to get some real Marvel games. With Marvel Rivals, and we had Midnight Suns, and we're getting stuff here and there.
My cat just closed my entire script.
That's hilarious.
With her nose.
Get it, baby.
Wow.
That is so rude.
She's
man.
I think it might be time for dinner.
In the meantime, to Hector's point, I think it's, I agree, and I think it's very telling that anytime people mention their favorite Disney games, it's always like early 90s.
Oh, yeah, Super Nintendo, SNES, or nothing.
Lion
Or
King
Kingdom
on the
Hearts.
Sega Genesis, bro.
Yeah, Aladdin for the fucking Super Nintendo. Yeah. The hardest game ever made.
Right.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or like Kingdom Hearts, which is like only partially
or Kingdom
a Disney
Hearts,
game.
which is amazing, but like when was the last time like the last Kingdom Hearts didn't do great, and we can do so much with all of that IP, with all of those properties. Disney is sitting on the best Smash Brothers ever made.
Oh God, right.
Ever made. Warner Brothers tried it and they failed because they suck at marketing. Disney does not suck at marketing. Disney sucks at making video games. So give it to somebody else and let them figure it out and market it. It'll be good.
Next up on the list was Witchbrook, which is a spellcrafting and witch life sim. Again, cozy game.
Witchy.
Made by Chucklefish Studios. And
Witch, please.
Everything about it just looks great. It's a pixel art game.
Yeah.
It's just another farming sim, but you're a witch, and you get to just live out your daily witch life and do witchy stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, if we go into lockdown again, I'm going to play the shit out of it.
Right? Welcome to measles in Texas.
I will agree they are all cozy, but I got to add one stipulation. They all seem like island, far away. Like they all
Yeah.
seem
Yep.
Adventure Time post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
Because
cozy.
nobody wants to
we
be
are-
cozy
no.
in the environment that we're in.
No one wants to be cozy in like Oklahoma by the mini mall with the McDonald's, not the Burger King.
Like
Right.
civilization is over, the zombies rose up, but we found a little cozy island.
You may not know this, but this is all of these are based on like obviously there's Harvest Moon, and this may go earlier than that. But the actual plot of Stardew Valley starts your character in an office cubicle late at night with the lights off while most people have gone home, just illuminated by the glow of your monitor, typing away, and you get an email from a relative who has passed and left you their farm, and you're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go make a farm work. And you go and you make that farm work, and it's one of the most satisfying gaming experiences I've ever had, and you can do it with friends.
Get yourself some farm hose.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun,
Both-
and you can there's a village full of delightful
Farm
characters.
sex workers, we will pay them.
Absolutely.
You do use a literal hoe on a farm, but also,
but also
there are farm hoes.
and also sex workers work, and
Yeah.
you know everyone from the tree chopper to the baker to the candlestick maker to the
yeah. The next game that Nintendo showed, I need to take a minute because it looks so good. It's called The Eternal Life of Goldman. This is a game that is just a platformer game with a very unique hand-drawn art style.
It looks a little Metroidvania, but also
And
a
Scrooge
little bit
McDuck.
side scrolly. But yes, you play an old man with gray hair with a walking cane that he is able to modify to do different interesting things. And it looks so cool. The art style is amazing. It almost looks claymation or stop motion.
Yeah, it's all hand done.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot actually of Cuphead when I was looking at it. And oh man, like just for the graphics alone, you need to check out a trailer for this. And
Yeah, look up The
it'll
Eternal
convince you to
Life
play
of
it.
Goldman.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, listeners, I think about video games a lot.
No, all the time.
Like all the time. And when I watched the trailer for this, I was immediately, all I could think was whoever came up with this idea loved the DuckTales NES game and went, why aren't there more games where people pogo stick around on canes?
Yep. Yeah. No. That little boingy pogo animation in this game looks exactly like the DuckTales
And
game.
where
I played
are
the shit out of that when I
senior
was a kid.
citizen action heroes?
Where
Correct.
are our senior citizen action heroes? We're about to have a whole lot of senior citizen
They're called the Expendables, guys.
Yeah.
It does exist.
As soon as the elder millennials start hitting their retirement homes, I guarantee we're going to see a ton of video games starring older characters.
All right, next up. We don't need to spend too much time on this one, but Gradius Origins. Basically, it's the 40th anniversary of the Gradius games. They're putting out this huge collection of all the original titles. They're going to have different versions of it. So the Japanese version of Gradius is different than the American release. You can play those different releases. But not only is it just a collection of games, there actually is a brand new game called Salamander 3, which is a spin-off series from Gradius, from what I understand. There's only ever been like Salamander 1 and 2, and they were like, well, we're putting this collection together. Let's just build a new one. If you're unfamiliar with the Gradius games, they're bullet hell games.
Yeah.
You are in a plane
Like
or a
OG.
ship. Yeah, they are the OG of bullet hell games. But yeah, everything about it looks great. If you enjoy
I played
bullet
one
hell.
of those on my IBM compatible back in the day. If you guys know what that phrase means,
Yeah.
we are old.
Big yikes. All right, next up, they showed off Rift of the Necrodancer.
Yes.
So you're a little bit more familiar with the series than I am, right?
Yes. So Crypt of the Necrodancer was a wonderful little rhythm game that was top-down 2D sprites dungeon crawler. So, the type of game where you would move from square to square, and when you run into a square with a monster in it, the two squares, rock back and forth while they attack each other, and that's the game. And, you go as fast as you can. These are old school RPGs. Well, anyway, this game with the same kind of art style had a musical track backing it with a very specific BPM and a rhythm bar at the bottom, like any good rhythm game has. And you could only move through the squares on the beat, doom, da doom, da doom, da doom. And when you attacked, you had to press the button towards the square with the enemy on it on the beat, or you would fail your attack. And they had to do the same. There were ways to interrupt them. You got this amazing dungeon crawler going on with this amazing, beautiful rhythm game. It was incredibly diegetic, like the music was coming from the dungeon, but also you would do things like walk into a shop where you could get a new weapon for your roguelike run. This was a roguelike, by the way. A really cool weapon for this run. And the shopmaster would sing in tune with the song that was for that specific level. And he was on every level. It was amazing. It is such a cool game. This one, what is it? It's Rift?
Rift of the Necrodancer.
Rift of the Necrodancer is a full-on rhythm game a la Guitar Hero.
Yeah, very DDR adjacent.
Exactly. You have notes scrolling down the screen, hitting the bottom of the fret where you would say strum a guitar or hit a drum beat or press a key. It seems like a full-on just rhythm game that this studio is more than capable of making, considering they've already translated this game type into an RPG roguelike. So I can't recommend it enough. They also did one for Nintendo based on Zelda.
Yep. And I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Next up, and we're almost through all of these. Next up, they showed Tamagotchi Plaza. Tamagotchi game.
Tamagotchi. I remember when it was a little piece of plastic all the girls at my junior high wore on their backpack.
Okay, first off, I had one, and I loved it.
I mean, I would have loved it if there wasn't. It was junior high in the mid 90s. No one was going to let me play with a pink plastic orb.
Yeah, I had ADHD, and they made one in gray, and I loved it, and I played with it.
I'm sure I would have had a great time with it, but I wasn't going to pick that thing up. My penis might fall off. I might catch the gay or something.
You're a much different person now, aren't you?
Very different person. I sent James a Lady Gaga video like 3 days ago. It's my favorite shit right now.
If you could go back in time and slap your younger self,
absolutely. I would give him that Lady Gaga video, and he would be. I would be an even better person now.
Next up, they showed the new Pokemon Legends game called Pokemon Legends Z-A. So let's just take 2 seconds to talk about this. A lot of people are excited for this game because it's a Pokemon game, and it does look pretty cool in that it's got a day and night cycle, and nighttime is when you go out and you do your fights. Daytime is when you collect your Pokemons and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But Jesus Christ, the graphics of this game.
I'm just leaving it up for you guys to look at.
Maybe look at the windows.
Maybe
watch the look at the cars. They're all the same car. The windows are all the same window.
I get that these games are not about that.
They're not. Yeah,
but
no,
yikes.
That's okay. Look, a lot of games aren't about the graphics. Stardew Valley wasn't about the graphics.
Yep.
Even games that we love all the way to death and back. Dark Souls 1 and 2 are not about the graphics. Go back and look at those games when they came out. They are ugly. But this game just isn't trying.
This looks like it was made in RPG Maker.
I'm sorry. This looks like something that someone on Steam would be embarrassed to turn in from an asset flip. Mm-hmm. That is how bland these textures are. I have seen Stephanie Sterling rip on games earlier in her career that look better than this. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it looks like this. It doesn't have to.
Yep.
It either they give them no time to design the environments, or they are literally anti-creativity when it comes to environment.
Man, one of these days somebody's gonna make a copycat game with way better graphics.
They did.
like Power World, that I played
World.
a whole bunch of when it came out because it looked good, had all the same shit Pokemon did, but was also a survival game.
But also had guns.
And
Hector,
me and my Pokemon had guns.
Hector, I'm going to need your professional expertise to talk about this next game.
All right.
Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah, is this
Rhythm Heaven?
Is this the one that came?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Rhythm Heaven was a DS game that goes all the way back to when I was in college working at GameStop. That is when Rhythm Heaven came out. Mm-hmm. It came out, I want to say, either before or alongside of what everyone knew as the WarioWare games. And the idea behind these games is the game presents to you an idea. Very, very clear. Like, say, a bomb at the top of the screen with a fuse running down it, and a little like fire at the tip of the fuse. And there's a dotted line drawn across the screen and a set of scissors on the left-hand side. So your job playing this game is to draw a straight line across the screen to cut that fuse with the scissors. And it gives you about 3.5 seconds to figure this out and do it before the bomb explodes. That's what we're talking about. And the thing about Rhythm Heaven was instead of the WarioWare, oh my God, get ready, go, it was all based on music. So instead of a 3-second minigame, you got something more like a 15 to 20-second minigame that asked you to hear a rhythm and repeat a rhythm, or see a rhythm and repeat the rhythm to create the sound for it, which was very pleasing. And give you the satisfaction of completing a group of little mini games. It was a great thing to play while commuting. It was a perfect handheld game. So the fact that we got a 2026 date for this, and obviously we've talked about having a Switch 2 coming down the line, but even for the normal Switch, if you have a commute, get this game. This is a perfect, 30-minute bus ride game. This is absolutely incredible for that. And you will be entertained the whole ride. And you will not worry about your save. You will not worry about, where you are in the game. You won't have to look up a wiki. You won't have to, know what this RPG expects from you. You just look at it and play it. And it's wonderful.
It's weirdly reminding me of like a sunnier version of Inside.
Yeah.
Like all those trials where you had to like follow people in their rhythm so you wouldn't get murdered.
Exactly. Like every room you walked into was a different kind of timing puzzle, kind of. Yeah.
All right, real quickly, I want to touch on something that they talked about, which is what are called virtual game cards. This is a very convoluted system in which you can effectively loan your digital games to friends that have Switches.
I think I can explain this pretty succinctly.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it by explaining to you what a Steam family is. A Steam family is something that Steam came up with where you can have up to 5 people. They don't have to live with you. There are no restrictions or any of that. It's not like a Netflix thing. It's just, I pick 5 people. You all have your own Steam library. You all have your own Steam accounts, but you are allowed to, no matter who buys what, share your Steam libraries between up to 5 people. Here's the rub. It knows if there are 5 people, how many copies of a game are in your library collectively. So if you have 3 people in your library and only one has bought, say, the first Berserker Kazan, any of you can play it. The drawback is only one of you can be playing it at a time. So it can't be like, I bought a new game, let's all play it, or let's all play it multiplayer. We're going to have to take turns if we all want to play this game, unless you want to buy your own copy. I think that is a fair, smart, beautiful system. It works well, and it keeps families from having to buy multiple copies of games, and it lets people share things and maybe even buy their own copy if they like it enough, depending on how things go. Nintendo decided they wanted that, but they weren't going to do it that way just because they're Nintendo. It had to be weird. And it had to be convoluted. So you have friends. You can have a bunch of friends. And you can take a game in your library, say a Zelda, and be like, bro, you should play Zelda. I have a copy. I'm going to loan it to you. And that game will disappear from your library for 2 weeks exactly. 14 days. And it will appear in their library, and they can play it if they want to. They have 14 days to play the game. Whether to completion or not, doesn't matter. It will disappear in 14 days and come back to your library.
Can I borrow it from you again?
I don't think so.
I have no idea. There's a lot of vagary to this.
It's the idea that I loaned my friend a game in Japan, which he would promptly return in 2 weeks.
Yep.
That doesn't happen in America. When we lend each other something, we assume it's gone. If it comes back, we are grateful. We might buy them dinner. But, you loan a friend a game, you don't have it anymore, and then it comes back
It's
to
true.
you later.
I loaned Lash my entire collection of Lock and Key comics about 10 years ago, and I still haven't seen them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I haven't hunted you down for my Blu-rays is we live together, and you'll watch them eventually. Shit, I'll probably make you. But
Very
yeah, I mean it's fine, But that's lending people things, and that's what Nintendo decided to do. It's like you can pick a friend and you can lend them your game, and they have a limited amount of time with it, and then it has to come back to us, and it's less convenient in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd feel too much pressure. Like if you lend me something, you're like, I got to get this back in a week. I'd be like, You know what? I'll just get my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like, imagine you're a YouTuber, and you produce videos and it's your whole livelihood. You are very rarely going to get 2 weeks to spend with a video game. So it's like, oh man, I have this Nintendo game I want to play. I want my friend to loan it to me, but not until this exact day because I'm going on vacation and I'm going to have 14 days to finish this game before I have to start making another video. And then I can do this once a year, maybe, and I have to coordinate with someone to lend their game to me at the right time.
Right.
It's too much, man. Well, Nintendo, seriously, just don't let people play the same license on 2 different consoles at the same time, and you're golden. You're golden. It's
right.
fine.
We're almost done with the Nintendo section of this, but let's go over a couple things. They did a big sizzle reel where they showed off games that have already exist on other platforms that are coming to the Switch. Next up, they showed Saga Frontier 2 Remastered. So they recently released Saga Frontier 1 Remastered. Obviously, super popular. That's a franchise that people absolutely adore.
Yeah.
That was great. They showed off Monument Valley 1, 2, and 3 coming to the Switch. Now, those are actually originally mobile games. The way that they're built, they're puzzle games where you interact with a 3D environment and try and navigate that. But
Beautiful games.
Yeah, they've converted them over to the Switch, and thumbs up. Next up, they showed Everybody Golf Hot Shots, which is a new entry in the Everybody Golf series.
Also a Sony game, also coming to
Sony,
Steam.
Yeah. Also, this is one of those weird facts about me. I hate golf itself, but you put me in front of a putt-putt and or a golfing video game that's not
Not a sim.
Not a sim.
Right.
But like a fun one, and I will fucking eat that shit up.
Oh, yeah. An arcade golf game is great. We used to have Mario golf parties. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Now, this is probably my number one game of the entire thing, which was Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Now, a little bit of backstory. I grew up playing Marvel beat-em-ups. And a lot of people would be like, well, James, obviously when I think Marvel beat-em-ups, I'm thinking of the X-Men arcade game.
Of course, yeah. The biggest cabinet you've ever seen in your 12-year-old life.
But what about Captain America and the Avengers?
Also that was my very first Sega Genesis game, but thank you for bringing that up. I totally forgot to put that in the conversation. But the first Marvel beat-em-up that I remember playing growing up was a Spider-Man arcade game.
Which one, though?
It was like called Spider-Man.
Okay, not like Maximum Carnage or anything.
Nope, I did play those.
We got to talk about Maximum Carnage.
But the Spider-Man arcade game, you could play as Spider-Man. I want to say Hawkeye was definitely one of the characters because that's the character that I always played.
Oh.
Because I was a huge Hawkeye fan as a kid. I think Vision was in Captain America. Either way, it was a 4-player arcade cabinet, old school beat 'em up. And it did this really cool thing where you would play really close to the screen, and it would be like that old school Final Fight type beat 'em up. And then every so often, the screen would the arcade cabinet would pan back, and you would fight like a giant version of Venom or something like that. It's a very unique, very cool system. So yeah, I grew up playing old school Marvel beat 'em ups, and when I saw the trailer for Marvel Cosmic Invasion, all I got was vibes of every arcade cabinet that I ever played growing up. My only concern, and this is theory, speculation, this is not confirmed in any way, shape, or form. My worry is they could monetize this.
Yeah, I mean,
easily.
Of course. Well, thankfully, Nintendo usually isn't about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because they insist everything go through their store, and they don't want to add like thousands of microtransactions per shitty phone game that they allow onto their store.
But they do allow dozens upon hundreds of hentai games onto their store.
Oh,
so.
yeah. This is, there were always going to be growing pains when they opened the store.
Right.
But I mean, I hope that they just let it be what it is and sell millions of copies and then let it come out on Steam.
Yep. Probably will. Finally, they showed off Tomodachi Life, not to be confused with the Tamagotchi game.
Yeah, Tomodachi.
Tomodachi is a
They're completely different.
It was a Wii series, and everything about it, it's a cozy game. You get to take your little me, run around town, smell some
plant some
flowers.
crops on an island in your front yard. Yeah, the
believe it
paradise.
or not, people used to have front yards.
And the mainland
Not
is
us.
gone. Forget it.
Yeah, no,
it
we
never
don't,
existed.
We did good, yeah.
So the final thing that Nintendo showed off, and we need to spend zero time talking about, was Shigeru Miyamoto came out, and he was like, hey, there is a new Nintendo app, unlike the 5 other Nintendo apps that we have.
Yeah.
And what this app does is every single day, it will give you an update about something going on at Nintendo. Basically, it'll give you the time of day and the weather and market something to you. Mm-hmm. And they were basically like, look, if you want to know about the Switch 2, download this app, and every day we'll give you some information.
And they call it news, and I mean, it's the newest thing from Nintendo.
But this corporation wants to bother me every day for free?
Yeah.
I don't have to pay anything?
Yeah, they will send you one commercial a day. They will send you one highly polished leaflet and or trailer per day that is an advertisement for something they want to sell you.
Yep.
And all you have to do is download the app.
Absolutely.
But the app's free?
App's totally free, man.
Free.
Oh.
You got free Nintendo ads coming right at your face, one a day. Aren't you lucky?
All right. That is You know what? I'm looking at you petting Willow, and I can think she doesn't have to worry about people advertising to her.
No one said. The only advertising she knows is the fucking bird channel on YouTube.
That's very true.
She's like, I wish I want to go to where the birds are.
All right. That's everything that we have for the weekly raid for all of the news. But stick with us because we still have our main topic in the boss room.
Boss room.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. It is time for the Boss Room. Sometimes related to the news, sometimes not. Now, this is the part of the show where we can dive deeper into our opinions on things like this week's topic, the Amazon show Invincible. Mm-hmm. So
instead of saying Invincible, you're supposed to hold up a giant title card with the word
right,
on it.
Just imagine that I did that.
And it just says Invincible on it.
And we are going to talk about that here in just a minute. But first off, I'm going to give you thank you,
exactly.
I appreciate you, John.
Hang on,
doing that.
just for clarity before we start, and I'm sorry that I did not ask this before we started. John, have you watched Invincible?
I have never seen a single episode of Invincible. I heard it's the boys in cartoon form, and I'm like, oh, well, I've already seen the boys.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
You were in for a treat. Watch it.
You are in for a treat. All right. So this is the part that I know that every listener out there is super excited for. I'm just going to read to you the title card from the Invincible wiki. So, Invincible is an adult animated superhero television series created by Robert Kirkman for the streaming service Amazon Prime Video, based on the Image comic book series of the same name that he co-created with Cory Walker and Ryan Otley. It is produced by Skybound Entertainment and Sun Sky Entertainment, Point Grey Pictures, and Amazon MGM Studios. The series follows teenager Mark Grayson and his transformation into a superhero under the guidance of his father, Nolan Grayson / Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on the planet. Yes, it is just Superman, if you are unfamiliar. So, now that the description's out of the way, we're going to talk about Invincible. Now that the season's wrapped up, we're going to give our overall feelings on the series, what works, what doesn't. There's a possibility we're going to talk some spoilers, but to be perfectly honest, I don't want to spoil the newest season. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty. I don't want to talk about the scene by scene. I want to talk about it as a series as a whole. So we'll probably steer away from a lot of the big spoilers.
Yeah, well, now, I would like to talk more themes and give you a reason to go and watch it, since not everyone has.
I'll tell you what, there's at least a couple things that I'll mention that will be spoilers for like season 1, but they're very small things. So let's talk about the series as a whole, what we like, what we don't like. I do have some questions here, but before we get started, Hector, what is your overall opinion on the series?
Right. So there is this is completely born of a comic series that is finished that you can go and read right now. And from what I understand, because I have not read it, the show follows it pretty faithfully, but moves things around where they need to because the arc of characters needs to make sense in the order that they presented them rather than the order that they appear in the comic. Other than that, from what I understand, like some of the shots are shot for page, and that a lot of the beats happen the way they do. My take on the series, imagine, and I hope you have, but if you haven't, there's a really great movie with Nicolas Cage in it, but he's not the star. It's called Kick-Ass. It actually stars the guy who played Kraven the Hunter.
Weirdly,
when he was a baby.
Yeah, he got groomed on that movie, didn't he?
Yeah. Yes. And the idea is, what if your superpower was getting the shit beat out of you? Mm-hmm. What if you could just take a punch better than the other guy? The Simpsons did it, right? That's what it is. This movie, by the way, is amazing. Definitely watch it. The sequel, not so much. It wasn't all the same people, but this movie was funny and visceral and badass and heartbreaking, and you get it. And the idea behind the movie is no one should ever try this. Do not try to be a superhero. You will get your ass beat and or killed your first night.
There was a really cool era of we're going to poke fun at the genre before the genre was popular.
Right.
Where you had Kick-Ass, you had Super 8.
Super 8, yeah.
Like that was James Gunn, wasn't it? Did Super 8, I want to say?
Yeah.
So these were things that riffed on the superhero genre before superhero movies were really even that big. Like I want to say Kick-Ass came out maybe around the time of Iron Man.
Yeah, I want to say so. Yeah. Because one of the character played by Nicolas Cage is a Batman ripoff.
Yep.
He's a complete Batman ripoff. Like a Batman with a shotgun because it's supposed to be real.
Yep.
And Batman would have a shotgun. So he can fucking kill people, which he does a lot with guns because it's more of a real show. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is because, as James described earlier, you were talking about a show with a Superman and a pantheon of heroes that are very similar to a Justice League, saving the world from evil things like robots and madmen and geniuses and aliens, etc., etc. And you have the child of the strongest of them all, the Superman, Omni-Man, they call him, who gets his powers. Finally, he's a teenager, a grown-up teenager at this point. He is, up there.
Yeah, so Invincible.
He's ending high school.
Invincible is the son of Omni-Man, who Omni-Man is their Superman.
Yeah, he serves as the Superman on the Justice League.
Yeah.
He is that motherfucker. He is the faster than everyone who's very fast. He's stronger than everyone who's very strong.
He's from another planet?
He's from another planet. He can fly there under his own power. Like, he doesn't have to hold his breath and shit. He can just go.
Yep.
This guy is the all-powerful Superman. And his son gets his powers, and he's very excited. The reason I point this out is the entire point of Invincible is a Superman, the child of a Superman who is still growing stronger all the time, who is still learning what it means to be this big, but he gets thrown right into the deep end because he's strong enough and old enough to be considered an adult, and he gets shit kicked out of him. Constantly. What if your superpower was getting the shit kicked out of you? And I mean really smashed by like the strongest alien in the universe with his incredible gravity, angry alien mace, and just like completely eviscerates you. You'll heal. You'll be okay. You're the son of Omni-Man. But you did just get the shit beaten out of you for like 20 minutes in front of everybody, and that's your life. That's kind of what keeps happening to Invincible in every encounter he gets in. Nothing is easy. No matter how strong he is, as long as he's trying to save people, nothing is easy. And the show as well as the comic really focus in not just on him trying to figure out what's right. When is it right to take a life? Is it ever? What do I do with, the people around me? But the problem is he's not a human being trying to be like, well, is it Daredevil or Frank Castle? Is it like kill them all because they're bad? Or is it, well, we don't take life, we contribute to justice? No.
And he's only half Viltrumite, which is the race that Omni-Man is.
Right, but the lore is that Viltrumite blood is so strong that he's practically full blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a DNA thing or whatever. But instead of saying like, oh, is it right to take a life, which are issues that Mark struggles with, whenever he fights anything even remotely close to his strength, every punch levels a building in a metropolis. Anything he does, being near anyone, gets thousands of innocents killed. He'll have a fight with someone close to his power level, and it'll happen in a city, and it's like I hate to use this again so soon. It's like a dozen 9/11s, just all over town.
Yep.
Whole skylines decimated by just a fight he's having with a guy. He doesn't get to sit around and say, oh my God, is this okay? Should I kill this guy? That guy just ended a city as a civilization by punching you in the face hard enough to make that happen. Like if we took the idea of Kick-Ass and put it on a Superman scale, that's kind of what you're getting with a story like this. And that's why I love it so much, because it's so impossible and it uses concepts that we're already familiar with. Like, we know what a Superman is. We know if there's a guy who looks like a fish, he's probably the fish guy, the Aquaman or whatever. We know if there's a stretchy guy, we get the idea. And the comic uses, and the show uses so much great language to make us, from other superhero stories and pantheons, that we get the idea when we're looking at the thing, and then it does something really clever with it. And that's why I love it so much, because it's always making you think about what's going on and the reasons why some people might have the powers they do on Earth, and trying to explain to you where Mark comes from and how they would actually test strength like his. And man, it's just very well written and very well made in the way that The Boys isn't, because while I haven't read it, from what I understand, The Boys as a comic is pretty insufferable.
It's very cringe, the
Yes.
comic.
Yeah.
And the show is fantastic.
Yeah.
And this, from what I understand, is the comic and the show have parody. They are the same story told in the same way, and it's a good story because it gives you all the feels you have, and it lacks the bro dude huzzah of it all. It's more like, but how do I pay rent? I know I'm Superman, but no one pays me to do that.
Okay. So that brings me to my first question. And for me to give this first question to you, Hector, I want to give the audience just a little bit of insight if they're not familiar with it. Again, these are kind of loose early story spoilers. We know that Omni-Man is the Superman allegory for this show, much in the way that what's his name from The Boys is. And we find out through the course of the first season that Omni-Man is part of this group called the Viltrumites. That's his race.
Yeah, imagine if the Kryptonians were all exactly like Superman on their home world. Like, it wasn't the sun that gave them power. It's just that's who they are. And, as a warlike society, think Spartans, they wiped each other out until they only were the biggest and the strongest among them, and then they went out to conquer the galaxy.
Yep.
That turns out what it is that Mark comes from.
Right. And
Except
so,
for his human mother.
And literally the first episode gives you this reveal. Like literally in the first episode, you watch Omni-Man basically kill the Justice League.
Yeah, first episode.
And so my question here is that currently we have been living in a world where there have been a lot of evil Superman allegories, from Homelander on The Boys to literally evil Superman in Injustice.
Right.
There have been a lot of what-if scenarios where writers have kind of dared to ask the question, what if Superman but evil?
Right.
So, Hector, what I've got to ask you is, why does Omni-Man work? And the answer may be no. But why does Omni-Man work where other quote-unquote dark Superman stories seem to kind of fall flat?
I'll tell you exactly why. Here's the reason that Homelander is the way he is to us. Because Homelander is a Nepo baby. He's a whiny, entitled kid who was never told no because he's fucking Superman and he might throw a tantrum. He might throw a tantrum. Omni-Man would never, ever, in 1 trillion years, longer than the eons or the lifespan of any human in history, forward or backward, would never throw a fucking tantrum. Ever. No one's going to insult his penis or tell him he's a little baby boy for drinking breast milk, and he's going to be upset and like crush a city or pop your head or laser you in the face. No, never. Absolutely not. He is chill because Omni-Man, unlike most bad Supermen who are either depicted as drunk, like in the third Superman movie, or, just rapscallions, or just straight evil, or fascists, with all the ways Superman has been portrayed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing in Injustice, right? It's just Superman but fascist.
Exactly. He's like, well, I'm in charge and I'm going to tell everyone what to do. No. Omni-Man is a soldier on a mission. He is an infiltrator, a scout unit, a spy. He comes to Earth and decides to blend in, marries a human woman, has a
Played
family.
by the amazing Sandra Oh.
Yeah, Sandra Oh, as always, amazing. I mean, from Grey's Anatomy fame, and obviously Killing Eve, and she's great in literally everything she does, and her voice acting talents lent to this bring a character
I do want to point out real
life.
quick, I know before you get into it, the entire voice cast for Invincible is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I might give you a couple voice cast spoilers without telling you who their characters are, just to line up this point later. But Omni-Man is a soldier on a mission. He was sent by the Viltrumites to blend in and to look at the planet, figure it out, and prepare it for Viltrumite conquest. And he doesn't do that by showing up being like, I'm in charge now, and killing people. He shows up, he learns what Earthers about, he does its whole thing, and he joins the Justice League because some people on Earth were like, hey, you just saved the Earth from a giant alien dinosaur. Do you want to...
We have people with powers too.
We have people with powers too. Do you want to help us? And he goes, well, now you know who I am. I might as well. It's part of my cover. But the same day he finds out his son has powers, he slaughters the Justice League because he knows that his son is enough of a Viltrumite that it's time to take over the planet.
Yep.
And that's a guy on a mission. And without spoiling the end of the first season for you, I mean, like, just what a story. What a fucking story. Because obviously Mark, who is ostensibly half human and has only ever been human and values human life, what he might think about such a thing.
So, if I may answer my own question.
That's why Omni-Man is good.
It's true. So my question being, why does Omni-Man work where other Dark Superman stories seem to fall flat? I'm going to go ahead and elaborate on that and cite a couple of examples, and this is all just my personal opinion. Your mileage may vary. So when we think about Dark Superman characters, the first one that comes to mind is Homelander. And I think you really nailed it with the Homelander analogy. He's an Epo baby. He was just always unchecked.
Yeah.
We kind of let him be where he came to power because nobody told him no.
Yeah, you can't.
Like
you can't.
some presidents that may or may not exist. So that's why he's automatically better than Homelander. When we talk about Dark Superman, we talk about specifically Injustice. What some could say Red Sun, but I think Injustice is the better example. In Injustice, Superman loses Lois Lane due to a scarecrow attack that makes him kill his pregnant wife, and he, becomes a fascist because of it. This is trauma that forged a god into a fascist leader, right? Omni-Man works, and whether or not you believe what I'm about to say, because Omni-Man is a human character. Omni-Man, while he is there to take over the world for the Viltrumites and represent his home world, we've watched 4 seasons now, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I'm going to tell you that at least in the first couple of seasons, you see a man who's kind of not okay with his actions. He is a man who did fall in love with a human, not put on an act.
No, he didn't have to.
Legitimately.
No one made him start a family.
Right. Fell in love with a woman and started a family and got excited when his son got his first powers. And then one day he got the call, it's invasion time. And even in that moment, Omni-Man went, do I do this?
Right.
And these are just like first episode that I'm talking about here. This is very general first couple episodes. Yeah. And we are in season 4 now, and the story of Omni-Man has become more complex. He's become a deeper character. He has done things that I won't talk about because I don't want to spoil it. But I think that's why Omni-Man works, is that the human element is omnipresent in him. Whether he wants to acknowledge it or not. And that's kind of part of his character growth through the series, is realizing that maybe the humans might be right.
Yeah.
I have a odd question because I have not kept up with Image Comics since, I read Paper Girls, which was Image, but prior to that, my last Image Comics were like the first 3 years of their run, like Shadowhawk and Youngblood and all that.
Really? You're going to leave Spawn out of this?
Spawn, whatever. Seth MacFarlane. Buy another overpriced baseball, why don't you? I'm just wondering, does Invincible exist within that superhero universe?
Characters from the Image universe have shown up in Invincible. I believe Savage Dragon makes an appearance in both the animated form and a very brief still, but in the comics absolutely does show up.
The one comic that showed up on time. Yeah. Question, though, where does Omni-Man sit in regards to Supreme? Because Supreme was the literal Superman version for Image Comics.
Yeah, so the thing about Image Comics is that
I don't believe these are shared worlds.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
not shared
Yeah.
worlds. The Image Comics Image has had crossovers, but they've never been full shared worlds. Honestly,
Okay.
Savage Dragon is probably the one character that has been in the most Image things.
Because you can trust
But-
that artist and writer to get it out on time.
Yeah, but like Gen X, was Gen X Image? I want to say it was.
I think so.
It was its own thing. Like, there was a lot of, I don't know. There's a lot of Image that is its own thing, but honestly, Invincible sits in a pantheon all of its own, and I'm not trying to fucking throw things out there, but if you're a comic reader and you set the Boys comic and Invincible comics down in front of me, 100% of the time I'm gonna be like, read Invincible. Show wise, I enjoy them both, but they're both different mediums because
Invincible is
it's
animated, and it is not. The show doesn't have enough money, and it doesn't have enough time, and we're gonna get into that.
That's one of my points. Let's talk about it right now. The animation controversy.
Right.
We need to talk about this. We need to address it because it was wild, man.
Yeah. So, like any animated show, people who love animation, like myself, will take the first season of an animated show and give it a mile of grace and say things like, well, we don't know how much money they gave them at the beginning. We, don't know how long it took them to lock down their art style. So we accept certain things like here is a still being panned across while we hear some dialogue. We'll accept some things like these two characters are obviously like placed in a frame together without a lot of stuff there that makes it look like a real thing, and it a little bit looks like flash animation or something. Sometimes it doesn't always look the best. And for the first season, you give them a lot of grace, because not everyone can be
It's proof of concept, right?
Yeah, and not everyone can be into the Spider-Verse. Not everyone gets the time and the money and the development and the tools and the
Even
expertise.
into the Spider-Verse didn't get to have all the things.
I mean, even right now, they've been having issues since the second one came out, but they deliver consistently incredible work. Invincible, when it needs to get it right, much like Japanese anime. If anyone's familiar, if anyone listening watches shonen anime or has in the past, know that you spend your money on your fight scenes and the rest you bargain with.
Yep.
To try and figure out what is possible. And Invincible very much gets that. Because when blows start landing and people start mixing it up, the animation goes to 10, sometimes 11. It just looks incredible. And sometimes it's not so good. And when we went from the first season to the second season, we were like, hey, that was very popular. We like that a lot. Hopefully this is better. And it wasn't. The fight scenes still look good, but honestly not quite as good as the first season, and the interstitials got worse and worse.
So to that point, and this is a very minor spoiler, very, very minor spoiler. In season 3, I want to say it is, Mark goes to Comic-Con.
Yes.
And the Comic-Con episode is literally them, a character explains to them how sometimes in animation you have to cut corners.
Yep.
And they do it several times in the episode.
Yeah,
to
like literally,
show you.
there's a frame on screen that is an example of what the animator in the show is explaining to you, and it's part of the show while he explains it. It's very well done. It's very tasteful, and it is a direct reaction to people complaining about the previous season not looking as good as they thought it should.
So let's talk about that controversy.
Because, and we found this out later, they didn't give them not just money, they didn't give them any time. They gave them no time. They gave them like 6 months to come up with another season. Of course it looked bad. And that is why they didn't give them enough time. We're settling into a nice rhythm where we're getting a season of Invincible, about 10 episodes once a year. And for the budget and the staff that they have, that is good. That is, so far, sustainable. What they did with that second season was just
Sweatshop.
a sweatshop, straight up. And that's what you can blame on the animation looking worse. Do not blame the animators. Do not blame the writers. Do not blame the show. I mean, it would be fair to blame Amazon Prime Video, but I don't think it should even be there. It should just be unrealistic expectations
Also,
by producers.
if the animation's so bad that you guys wouldn't like it so much, so
Agreed.
it's fine. It's good enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's just they bought the ticket already. They're fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's fine.
But despite all that, despite any concerns I have about the animation, I would watch the show as a radio play. It is that good. Speaking of, now that I just said radio play, let's talk voice cast.
Yeah, let's talk about the voice cast.
Oh,
my
man.
god!
So
It's so good.
So obviously you have the titular character Invincible. That is his superhero title, Invincible. He is dressed like a giant eye, just so you know, like the lowercase letter I.
Yep.
But the character voiced by Steven Yeun, who anyone who watched The Walking Dead would be very familiar with. He's also in a bunch of other amazing stuff, but
Let's talk about Nope, bro.
Oh yeah, exactly. But we can talk. But we can absolutely talk about That's Nope. Absolutely. Fuck yeah, Nope. What an incredible movie. But The Walking Dead, definitely known for that. You have Sandra Oh, who we mentioned before.
Oh, the always amazing.
Always
Sandra.
amazing Sandra Oh, forever. The impeccable as Omni-Man, J.K. Simmons.
What an inspired choice.
Oh my God. If anyone knows voice casting, they know that when you need a good, interesting, compelling quasi-main character, it's J.K. Simmons.
Absolutely.
J.K. Simmons. We have a regular, reoccurring CIA agent who is the spy's spy. Nick Fury, but like with better gadgets and more knowledge. Dude can motherfucking teleport and he has no powers. Like it's just fucking CIA shit. Played by Walton Goggins. My
The
favorite man on earth, Walton Goggins.
I would do horrible things.
And
Just be in his presence.
And I'm missing so many here. Mahershala Ali. I mean, I don't want to miss that. There's so much incredible talent, even just for cameos here and
I
there.
don't even want to spoil this, but a character in the latest season.
Mm-hmm. A character in the latest season is, and we can spoil this part for any Walking Dead fans in the world. If anyone remembers how Steven Yeun left the show The Walking Dead, they remember that, spoilers for The Walking Dead from like 12 years ago. He had his head bashed in by Negan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Negan like came up, just fucking whacked him, and that was played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Negan played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays a character in this show at one point that meets Invincible, Steven Yeun, and they have a wonderful little reunion. It is so good. It's so good.
Do not want to spoil who it is or the reason that they're there.
The voice talent of every character. I don't want to forget, obviously, not Gillian Jacobs. Who am I thinking of? From Community, but not Alison Brie. She is. She plays Matt's girlfriend.
Right.
In the first season, it's Zazie Beetz, and she's fantastic. And in the second season, it's Gillian Jacobs. Yeah, from Community, also an incredible voice actress. There's
the voice cast for all of it.
Mark Hamill plays a reoccurring character. There's just so much good voice talent in this show, and you can hear them all as soon
John
as you
Hamm's
hear them.
in it, man.
John Hamm.
Like
I love John Hamm.
Fucking Michael Dorn's in it. Like it is a Mae Whitman's in it. Like the voice cast for this show.
Star-studded. All of you know where all that animation money went? It went into the fucking voice cast.
It absolutely did.
It's so good. Seth Rogen plays maybe my favorite reoccurring character.
Such a dumb character
because he's stupid and he's hilarious and he's honest and he's
Seth
loving.
Rogen.
He's Seth Rogen. He just wants to share a joint with you. Why are you punching me?
So what I'm hearing is the reason we don't have money for animation is all basically Jeffrey Katzenberg's fault.
Yeah, pretty much.
So when we talk about the controversy of Invincible, we're talking about the fact that the second season got quite a bit rushed. It was broken into two parts, and people very noticeably said, like, look, man, I don't know what happened, but it doesn't look as good as it did before.
Yeah.
A lot of this looks like Newgrounds animation.
It was also the biggest departure from the comics that they had made in the storyline so far, and people were, not vibing with that either because they didn't understand what they were doing and trying to set things up in the correct order for later.
That being said, they have since course corrected, and also Amazon has been giving them more time and more money and letting them create the things that need to be done, much in the way that they did one of my favorite shows, The Expanse.
Oh, absolutely.
So
what a wonderful
once
show.
they understood you could not rush a good product, they have been giving it the things that it needs. And this season was very much representing that. It was still broken into two parts, but
Right.
like
And that's why you think that we've had season 4. Technically, what we just watched was season 3. But season 2 was broken into 2 parts because they tried to release a whole season in like 6 months and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And they rushed out the first 5 episodes and everyone was like, why does this look like crap? That's why. Just to drive the point home, because I really want everyone listening to this who's never watched this show to go watch it. This show is planned to run for 10 seasons. We have just wrapped up season 3. There's a lot to go. There's a lot of story. There's a lot of love and interesting, heartache and just good times and Superman fucking fight scenes.
Very human stories in the middle of a super
Very human stories. And very interesting stories about the way humans should act around each other. Yeah, it's going to be a long series, so strap in. If I had the wherewithal to talk to y'all about The Expanse after like the first episode, this is where I would be. Like, everyone sit here and watch this with me.
If you're one of our patrons and you want to donate to having us talk about The Expanse for an hour, we will do that.
We will literally sit down and rewatch the entire show before that episode.
And we will do a Patreon exclusive episode where Hector and I just get drunk and talk about how much we love The Expanse.
Yeah.
So the last thing that I want to discuss about Invincible is kind of a weird thing. So in the show, there is a running gag that anytime somebody says Invincible's name for the first time in an episode is when the title card drops. And they never get to say his name because the title card drops.
Yeah, the title card literally cuts off his name and gives you the title card.
Yeah. And this is something that was very cute at first. And for whatever reason, the creators have made it 10 times funnier. This is a joke that could have gotten old real fucking fast.
Oh, yeah. And it's not even like you sit there anticipating it.
Right.
It's like it could happen in the first 5 seconds of the runtime. It could also happen 20 minutes into a 30-minute episode.
Yeah.
It's the first time someone says Invincible is when you're getting the title card.
There is one episode where every time they say his name, they cut to the title card.
Yep.
And I shit you not, and sure, I was drunk at the time.
It just keeps getting funnier.
I fucking lost it.
Yeah, it just keeps getting funnier.
And the reason that I bring this up is that the other night I was on my couch watching a random YouTuber talk about Batman. Now, to my credit, or not credit, I was high as shit.
It's nighttime.
And the topic that was being discussed is we should stop using with enough prep time Batman could win any fight.
Yeah.
Because you could say that about anybody. Like anybody could fucking do it. And at one point during this 20-minute video of this dude saying like, hey man, like, yeah, anybody can win a fucking fight with enough prep time, this is it's just Batman. It's not like and all of a sudden he cuts to the Invincible title card. Nowhere else in this YouTube video was there an Invincible reference, but he cut to the title card and dear listeners, I lost my shit.
Yeah, it's a really good gag.
It's a really good gag that just, for whatever reason, keeps working.
Yeah, because it's not just the title card, but the title card also is giving you...
It gives you the song.
Because it's a different card every time.
Yeah.
So it will give you, like, maybe there's a little splash of blood on the side, and that's a reference to something that happens later in the show. Maybe it's a whole different color scheme, and that's a reference to something that happens later in the show. But it's always a different title card with the same stinger audio. It just says Invincible because someone wasn't allowed to say it.
And I had to mention it because, like, yes, I've always found it funny in the show when they do the title card, but the fact that a random YouTuber just, because he was going to say Batman's not invincible, put the title card in, and it still got me that laugh.
Yeah.
That's saying something. That's a good gag.
It's a really good gag. Yeah, it's the type of thing you can only really do with an animated show rather than a comic, and it brings some life into it that wouldn't be there otherwise. There are some really good running gags in that show. There's also always the credits start rolling, and there's like 5 to 10 minutes more show.
Yep.
I'm not even kidding. They just really want you to see all the animators' names while the show ends.
Yep.
And so you get like
And
some
it's not
credits.
like it's not like a Marvel end credits thing where you feel like, oh god, I'm sitting through the credits to get to the scene. No,
Yeah,
like
they give you like 5 to 10 seconds of credits and then more show and then maybe another 10 to 20 seconds of credits and then a stinger at the end.
Yep.
And it does that sometimes. There was one time where they did credits halfway through the episode just to give you what was ostensibly the second half of that episode, kind of like an episode of Adventure Time where it's story A and then story B. Like they just put the credits in between. It was great.
It was so good.
And they hit you with shit like that all the time.
Can I tell you how glad I am you guys are not from LA? So when we go to watch a movie together,
Tell us, LA boy.
we don't have to sit through the fucking credits every
You guys
time.
don't stand up and clap for 20 minutes?
Oh God!
What's wrong with you, LA people?
And I'm not talking about Marvel movies. I'm talking about every movie. If you're there with enough friends from
Yeah.
LA, you got to sit through the whole
You
fucking
do,
credits.
absolutely.
Why?
Don't
LA
ask.
thing.
Don't ask.
LA thing. So we do have another section of the podcast to get to before we wrap up the show. I think that the reason I wanted to talk about Invincible was not only because the new season just wrapped up, but if you haven't been watching it, please watch Invincible.
Watch Invincible. It's on Amazon
It's
Prime.
good.
So you have it.
It's wholesome.
You
and
have
it's fun.
Amazon Prime. I know you get free shipping.
Yep.
You have Amazon Prime Video. You can watch Invincible. Please
Please
do.
watch it.
And my favorite feature of Amazon Prime that I wish every service had, you can pause at any time and it will tell you what voice actors are voicing the characters on the screen
And
right
trivia.
now. And it'll give you a little bit of trivia. But the thing is, if you're ever watching an episode and thinking, I know that voice, all you have to do is pause. You don't have to fucking Google shit.
You don't have to check your phone.
You don't have to check your phone. You can just pause and be like, that is Mark Hamill.
Yep.
Yeah. And like, that's what that's
For the
just
record,
one
though,
more
it's
thing to love.
always
always
Mark
Mark
Hamill.
Hamill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he sounds the way he sounds.
All right. I hope that we sold you on Invincible. If you have not seen it,
Watch it.
Please watch
It's
it.
awesome.
All right. It is time for our last section. Thank you for hanging out for the boss room, but it's time for what we've been up to as we get into the epilogue.
Epilogue.
Hey everyone, it's time to dive into what we've been up to this week. It is the epilogue. It is what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what's been occupying our free time, and what, more importantly, has been making us happy. Producer John, have you done anything fun this week that you can talk about?
You know, on the media side, I'm just gonna say I'm still playing Borderlands 3. That's beginning to feel a little bit like a part-time job. Nothing too exciting
Welcome
just
to
yet.
Borderlands, baby.
It's a thing you've been doing and you're still doing. And
Like after I hit the continuing in 4, 3, 2, 1 joke, which was fantastic. Past that, I've just been kind of doing the grind. Other stuff, we're not friends again yet, James,
Yeah.
because you have not watched Severance.
The season just wrapped up.
it did just
Well,
wrap up.
get on it then.
I'm gonna
so
binge
John
it
and I
this
have
week.
both
It
finished
wrapped
Severance
up like
season 2.
4 seasons worth of Severance ago, so you should have watched it like
I was
4
watching
times by now.
Fargo season 2.
Oh my god!
Yeah, which is
So-
incredible.
So the one thing I'm going to mention, because I have the power of editing in YouTube right now, is I'm going to mention that I built my kitties a catio.
Yeah.
Where I literally I got 100 feet of deer preventing.
It's like wire. Yeah.
It's plastic, it's like this nylon plastic stuff. I got 100 feet of it for $20. I wrapped it all the way around because we're on the first floor and there's, the
Yeah,
gates
you have
are,
a little bit of grass and then like a tiny little fence, right?
yeah, and the cats could easily walk through the fence or whatever. So I wrapped it all the way around, and we just let the cats go wild for a couple days, and watching them the whole time, and they had a blast. It was great. So if you're listening to this and you want to see it, you'll have to watch the YouTube version.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Hector, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
So aside from the end of Severance season 2, which is fantastic, I can't recommend it enough.
It is mysterious?
Yes, it's probably
And important.
It is mysterious and important. But if you're not watching it, it's some of the best TV on TV right now. It is our new
Weirdly by Apple.
peak. Yeah, weirdly, it's on the Apple streaming service. They have a couple of bangers that they keep bringing people in for. That's why Ted Lasso got a whole 4th season. They probably just dump trucked money onto everyone's doorstep to keep that going. Other than that, obviously we have Daredevil Reborn. Is it Rebirth? Reborn?
Born Again.
Born Again, of course, with the Christianity. Daredevil Born Again has been fucking awesome.
Ooh, we will talk about that at length at some point.
They released 2 episodes this week. One of them was a bank heist, and it felt straight out of Heat. It was so fucking cool. Oh my God. What a great episode. Both episodes were great. It's been a great series. I didn't think Marvel would or could come back this hard. Benson and Moorhead fucking get the material.
They get it.
They get the assignment. They're making all the right moves. What a great show. Best Marvel show in a long time. Loving it. Second to last thing. Because it only happens about once a year or so, we are celebrating the arrival, blessed to us, brought down to us by our goddess mother. There is a new ContraPoints video on YouTube. And I don't usually shill for YouTubers. I mean, I mention who we're quoting or who we're, a video that I enjoyed watching. But ContraPoints is one that's very OG for me. Natalie Wynn.
OG YouTuber.
Yeah, OG YouTuber Natalie Wynn, coming all the way back from the New Atheist phase back in the day, and just becoming a general philosopher on life. She has a new episode out, and it is nearly 3 hours on the idea of conspiracy theories and why they are and what they are. And what kind of thinking puts you into that headspace. And it's beautiful. It's beautifully made.
It never
it's
once
fucking
talks
poetry.
down to conspiracy.
Never not once makes fun of someone. Never not once just
it is an
just
educational,
spitting straight facts right in your face, like I wish you would do to me.
There are no adults in the room.
There are no adults in the room. It's just us. And I got a new game today. I got a new video game today.
Yes.
It is called The First Berserker Kazan. It is a wonderful title by a little a brand new studio out of Korea being funded by Nexon. It is their first Souls-like game, and it nails it. The combat reminds me of Neo. The setting reminds me of Demon Souls with the same way that there's Demon Souls. With the way that there's like a hub world that you travel to other worlds in. Yeah. Again, I'm going to say the combat rules like 50 times. The combat is peak. It's amazing. It reminds me of Sekiro and Neo at the same time. Very counter and parry heavy. Very understanding your kit and building on your kit to try and make your combat flow correctly. All the quality of life is there, so it makes the idea of a Souls-like or a difficult game that much more appealing because it doesn't penalize you for losing. In fact, if you're stuck on a boss and fighting him over and over again, you will continue to gain experience just from fighting him, not necessarily from killing them. So you will, while attempting them, get stronger. There is full-on uneasy mode you can switch to if that's your bag. When you get to the end of the tutorial, it's like, has this been a little rough? Do you want to do the easy mode? And it's right there for you. Everything is there for you to enjoy this game. And I'll say something because we've had a lot of talk of the death of AAA lately and how the projects are getting far too big for anyone's britches. This is a game with great-looking environments. But not photoreal, just great looking. They match whatever's going on around it. And an art style for the characters that is pure anime. Pure, something you would see in,
snorting that weeb juice.
Oh, yeah. Any kind of, any other Nexon game, any Tencent game, all of those, that kind of, almost like gachapon style, that anime art style. But it looks great. And I'll give you the selling point right here if you're already a Souls fan. It makes me feel like I'm playing a Berserk game. And I don't mean like the title is The First Berserker Kazan. I mean like Guts Berserk, the manga, the anime, the series of OVAs. Berserk. One of the very first things I did was get a giant slab of metal sword and fight the undead in a graveyard in this game. I am Guts in this game, and it's incredible. I went giant slab of greatsword as my primary weapon because of how the game made me feel when I started it. And there are other weapons, and it's great, and they all feel like their own character, almost in a Monster Hunter kind of way. Okay. But, man, I can't get enough of this game. I just started it. It just came out today. and I paid full price for it because it's the studio's very first game in this space that isn't like a phone game, and they nailed it. They nailed it so hard, and people are loving it. It's getting good reviews. There's already a ton of videos up on how to work the RPG systems from your favorites, like Fetch Your Life or Fighting Cowboy. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Even if you want to wait for a sale, if you don't want to pay full price for an Unknown Souls, like that's fine. But get it, try it out. I promise you'll have fun if you like combat from games like Souls or Sekiro or Nioh. It's gonna be great.
All right, what have I been up to? Let me jump into mine. I'm going to start with the stuff that I've already talked about in the past, so we don't have to sit on it too long. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. I'm in plat, bro.
Hey!
I finished Fargo Season 2. Absolutely every season of Fargo has been absolutely fantastic, and I've only watched 2 of them. That's great. I got my platinum in Metaphor Refantasio. That was a long, hard battle. Like most Atlas games, it was just one of those ones where I was like, I got to get the plat. I'm only like 2 trophies away. And then another 30 hours happened. And then I finally got the trophy. But as I've been talking about on this podcast a lot, this is my theme for video games this year is indie titles. And I have been diving deep into indie titles this year. I've been playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon 2. I liked the original Darkest Dungeon. It was fine. It also felt unbeatable. And I've talked to a lot of people that have played Darkest Dungeon because it's a roguelike game. It's a very difficult game. And I've talked to a ton of other people that have played Darkest Dungeon. And I was like, hey, did any of you ever like roll credits on that game? And everybody was like, nope. Game is too hard. Cannot do it. Darkest Dungeon 2 being a roguelite, which means there is character progression. You can upgrade between runs. Much more enjoyable for me. And I've been actually spending a lot of the week just watching YouTubers who are very big on the game talk about it, because there is no right or wrong answer to Darkest Dungeon. You are given your cast of characters. Pick the ones you like. Don't bring the ones that you don't like. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun and enjoyable. And I find myself getting into Darkest Dungeon in a way that while I enjoyed the first one, I am actively wanting to participate in the second one. So, high recommend for me, Darkest Dungeon. Absolutely get into it.
Sweet.
So, what else have I been working on in the indie space? So, next title, I'm going to not spend too much time on, but it's probably the one that has impacted me the hardest. This weekend, I played Mouthwashing. Mouthwashing is a 3-hour-ish game that takes place on a space freighter going from point A to point B when things go horribly wrong. And I wish I could tell you more about that, but I can't. That being said, what I can tell you is that there is a lot of sensitive issues that are talked about in Mouthwashing. It is a game that talks about abuse. It is a game that deals with sexual assault. It is a game that deals with mental health issues.
Also, the threshold of pain and what should be acceptable to tolerate and what should be acceptable to be allowed to give up on.
In a game where if I tell you that you're hauling a bunch of mouthwash across the galaxy, and it's a game that terrified me, and I don't mean terrifying as in, oh no, there was a ghost and it did a big spook. No, it was a game that after I rolled credits on it, I had to sit with for a minute, because the character that you're primarily presented as is playing is not your typical hero. And I'm being intentionally vague about this. Normally in a video game, you play the hero and I'm going to do all the things and I'm going to save the world. And at some point while playing Mouthwashing, you just go, are we the bad guys? And I won't say...
Are there good guys?
I don't know if there are good guys, to be perfectly honest. But it is a game about morals and ethics and corporations. And I don't know, man. Like, it's a game that, again, only 3 hours long. And I got stuck on a couple of the puzzles. So that was me being very generous. Mouthwashing is a game that if you are into indie games that require a little bit of introspection, that require you to really think about, God, what it means to be human, maybe that's Mouthwashing. You should play it. Very cheap, too, by the way.
It's incredibly cheap. It's like 3-5 hours at the most. I played it earlier this year. I loved it. It's definitely my shit. I can see why it might not be anyone else's.
It's all you guys.
But definitely
really good.
hold to the disclaimers on this one. The sexual assault disclaimers, the physical violence disclaimers. If there's a content warning, you need to, because the game doesn't give you those warnings going into it. Please know this is a very, very difficult game, and it tackles very difficult issues, and it is not for everybody.
Right. And not gameplay wise. The game is a breeze to play through. It's the content.
Point and click.
Yeah, it is the content that makes the game difficult. So if you're in for that kind of a story, being told in your favorite medium, then this is the one for you, like it was for us.
It was. Okay, the last game that I want to talk about are the things that I've been up to and things that have been making me happy. Actually, real quick, because we don't get to talk about this enough, things that are making me happy. By the way, I found recently there's an entire section of YouTube that is just comic book lore to go to sleep to.
I love it.
I'm going to send you a bunch of these videos because that is what I have been falling asleep to.
No, I need some of that.
Last night, I fell asleep to somebody just reading me the Infinity Gauntlet story, and I was like, this is so good. And then I fell over and went to sleep. And so that's what's been making me happy. But the last game that I want to talk about, I'm going to, for our YouTube audience, I would ask John to just put up on screen whatever trailers he can find for it. This is a pixel game that is very beautiful and deserves to be shown for our Twitch and YouTube audience. The game is called The Last Faith. The Last Faith is a game that I've been following for a few years that finally got released a couple of years ago. The Last Faith is a Bloodborne and Castlevania-inspired game. It is not an easy game. I am still only like 4 bosses in. It is tough. However, every time somebody says, I wish they would make another Bloodborne, right now I want to tell them, you need to play The Last Faith. It is not a game in which you can just button mash to get through it. Yes, you can get a gun, but bullets are limited. Yes, you get magic, but your MP is limited. Yes, you can parry, but your parries are limited. Everything about this game is everything that I love. It is dark. It is gothic. There are vampires. There are beautiful gothic women who level you up.
Yeah, they're whips and swords.
And swords. And it is not a game I can recommend lightly. But if you like, there's this Venn diagram of I like Castlevania and I like Bloodborne. And the middle of this is The Last Faith.
Yeah, you've got these 3 circles. You got like Metroidvania and Souls-like, and like Bloodborne / like Gothic, like Bloodlines and shit like that over here. And right in the middle, you're getting this wonderful little game that I can't wait to play now that you've showed it to me. Yeah. It looks fucking great.
Yeah, I loaded it up on the big screen when Hector came over earlier, and I was like, dude, look how pretty this is.
It's so cool.
And I got to tell you, as somebody who has been a Castlevania fan growing up, and also a Souls player growing up, what I will say is there's a lot of habits you're going to have to break. Because in the Igarashi Castlevania games, you could kind of just jam on a button and beat a boss because you jammed on the button fast enough. Not in The Last Faith. Every move, whether that be a slide, a backdash, a jump, a whip slash, a sword slash, any of it, you are committing to that action. Mm-hmm. And most likely, if you are not anticipating the enemy's moves, you are dead. Healing items are a rarity. You have to be really lucky to keep your souls if you die. And normal enemies do not drop big experience like they do in Souls games. There are areas in Dark Souls I could go farm for a couple hours and be completely max stats. Not in The Last Faith. XP is mostly in the big chunks dropped by special crates that you can only open once. So every point of your XP becomes vitally important to your survival, and your build, because you cannot reset your character, is vitally important. Right now I'm going magic build, but with dexterity for the whip, and I hope that it works out, because if it doesn't, it's going to be a rough run for me. Mm-hmm. But it is one of the most gorgeous games that I've ever played, and I did recently look at YouTube, and there are not a lot of people covering this little indie title, and I wish that they would, because it is beautiful, it is haunting, the characters are memorable, and it's nostalgia meets modern in a way that a lot of people are trying for, but nobody's really pulling off.
Mm-hmm.
So please, 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 if any of what I have said today interests you, please pick up The Last Faith. It is not that expensive a game.
Yeah, it's been out for a while. Sometimes there's a really good Steam sale.
Yeah, just get in there and get it. It is worth your time. Like literally after we finish the podcast, y'all are going to go home and I'm picking up my PlayStation Portal. I'm going to pour 5 more hours into it.
Hell yeah.
All right, that is everything we have for the show this week. Don't forget that you can head over to goodnight.gg to become a patron of our show. You can head over to facebook.com/GNGGcast, where you can chat with us, as well as talk to me directly at GNGGcast on Twitter and goodnight.gg on Blue Sky. But until next time, for Hector, this is James.
And for James, this is Hector.
And for you, this is me.
Everyone, good night.
And good game.
Okay, my goodness. So needy.